Previously on the colony,
You told me yesterday that you felt unwelcome here because no one had spoken to you except Dad called you.
Three of us walked away from the
conflict between convicts and their masters.
And then you went on about me and my problems, that I should shut up and all that shit. And
you know, John's a night as well.
Conflict between neighbours.
Come and let the team down. It makes everyone else have to work twice as hard.
For all I knew, you were sitting up there having your dinner and having a break. I didn't know that, right?
And a dramatic visit by the Redcoats.
We are hereby commanded to summon Morris Hurley. We are hereby commanded to summon Kerry Honky of the Hawkesbury.
It'll be very interesting because I don't think either of them particularly like each other.
Ah, home sweet home.
With Australian Kerry Honky and Irishman Morris Hurley locked up for their minor rebellion, families have no idea how long they'll be gone.
Certainly is a lot quieter since he's gone.
Yeah, he has a certain presence all right here, but, you know, we're going to miss him. Out here, everybody's taken away. How do you even know they're back, if they're coming back, or what's happened to them? Because this is such a remote place. You were on your own.
Over at the Australian family's farm, Tracy and the 4 Honky kids are also on their own. The arrest of Morris and her husband Kerry came after weeks of conflict between the two families.
Kerry and Morris, you know, there's been that build-up between the two of them. They don't really communicate at all. Because it was only the other day Kerry was saying a few things that he'd actually like to do to them. If buttons are pushed, don't know what they'll be going through and how they'll cope.
Oh, look at this. Should have made me bed yet.
After a long night on the straw, the 2 outlaws receive a prison breakfast.
Cheers. Good work.
Overnight, they reflected why there's been so much conflict with each other.
Not bad. You come very protective over your stuff, and I think just sometimes it takes a little situation out of maybe a bit of frustration, a bit of tiredness, a bit of caring for your family, and if you got the shits and that, and have a bit of a dummy spit, and you know, throw a few cursive words around and kick the odd thing. Sometimes it's probably not too easy for the person on the other end. Or you agree with that, Morris?
Yeah, there's been. As I say, you really get back to basics. You look after the family.
Yeah, I know.
True. I'm very argumentative, or opinionated or whatever. I don't win many friends that way.
Colonists suspected of rebellious activities would be brought before a magistrate. If found guilty of raising a rebel flag like Kerry and Morris had done, a free settler would receive jail time and an Irish exile would most likely be banished to Norfolk Island. After 8 weeks in the valley, our 3 modern-day families have built houses and traded their produce. They've carved themselves a life frontier of the early 1800s. The Stephensons from Yorkshire now think of this farm as home.
I know we've been here maybe 7 or 8 weeks now, but you actually think, you get into the mindset that it is your home.
John and Liz have built a kitchen and fireplace on ground level, and on top of a huge rock, they've built their sleeping quarters.
Why to the might, look at this.
You don't think about the outside. It's your life. It becomes your life.
5-year-old Lincoln Honky has also settled well into life in the valley.
Walking back, like across the common, bringing the cows in. He said, oh, it's a shame we can't live here and just buy a TV.
Come on, dude. Good.
So it must have been all right. The redcoats didn't bring you back.
No, mate, no. Just lost the farm. That's about all. Nothing major.
I've escaped! Come after me!
There they go. Did you survive that?
Oh, just about. Thank you. And we were locked up for the night in the cell.
The two of you together?
Yeah.
How did that go?
Went to court this morning.
Oh, did you?
Yep.
And? What?
Back to where we came from.
Huh?
Back to a convict now.
You are?
We all are. Because of your rebelliousness as well.
We don't have to.
Yeah, let's say we're back to the bloody jail.
Just do a runner.
Only joking.
Oh, bastard. I'm thinking, well, like hell, I'm not doing no shit for nobody else. Bloody hell.
Years ago, in this very valley, early settlers planted vegetable gardens, grew crops of wheat and corn, and raised cows, pigs, goats, and chickens. The produce from farms like these was so critical to the survival of the early colony that the governor arranged a formal inspection every year. The population was counted and productivity measured. It was known as the annual muster. Our modern-day settler families now have 4 weeks to prepare their farms for inspection on muster day.
Probably number one, getting the farm as productive as possible, not just for the muster, but also, you know, to feed the as best as we can, for trade and stuff like that.
There's a lot of hard work to be done to prepare for the muster, but one of John and Liz's convicts is being less than helpful.
Well, you built it for the cow, Keogh,
Yeah.
so if you haven't built it strong enough...
As I said right from the start, the whole pen was an embarrassment, John.
Over the past 8 weeks, convict Keogh has been a thorn in the side of his English master, John.
So that's a waste of half a day's work, then?
You're exactly right.
I haven't done a hard day's work since I've been here. Probably because of my relationship with my assigned person, or my assigned family, I didn't feel anyway inclined to put 100% into it, and I certainly haven't, probably no more than 20%.
He's 45 years old. It's not up to me to try and motivate a grown man to want to...
But at the end of the day, he's come as a convict, Keogh, to be told off us what to do.
And he came because he wanted to learn how to...
Be told what to do,
Yeah.
because he likes to make his own decisions, obviously.
Yeah.
Look, he's back.
Milk?
Thank you, Andy.
No problem.
For the English and Irish families, Keogh has proved to be the most volatile and threatening of all convicts in the valley.
He wouldn't do a drop of work ever again. Well, it doesn't need to ever get to that.
If someone was to do that, then I would swing at him.
You're a f***ing idiot. You really are. You've got a good mind to drop you. You're a drop kick. Total idiot. Brain dead.
Tyler was really scared, yeah, he was really scared. If he has an outburst like he did the other night when the children were there, where he got quite aggressive, that can't continue.
I haven't hit anyone yet. I had no desire to walk in there and kick anyone in the teeth or belt anyone. So yeah, I mean, I can walk away from things.
Hold the plant.
Tracy Honky is very proud of their house and garden. The garden yields the most vegetables in the valley, and she's also keen for their hut to look like a classic colonial dwelling. Their convict, Paul Ward, has just finished putting in a sandstone floor.
up for you.
Come in, bitch. Yeah, sure.
Convict Steve Keogh might be assigned to the English family, but he and Kevin Markilly, the Irish family's unhappy convict, are often to be found at the Australian farm.
I think a lot of the convicts aren't really getting recognised what they're actually doing or the parts they're playing. We only have the one convict, but we all work together and quite well and give him that space to apply himself to the things that he wants to do. And I think some of the other convicts have got abilities and things that they would be able to do if they were given the space and time to do it.
Next door, the Hurley family have added a kitchen annex to their hut. Back home in Dublin, the Hurleys keep a few donkeys and have excelled here at raising goats. Susan Hurley milks them every day and knows them intimately.
We've got Milkshake, who's the sweet little white one. She's very good and very smart, and she always does what she's told. Then there's Coco, mommy goat. She has a baby now. She's a strange goat, but she's well behaved and she's a really good mother as well. And then there's the brown one, which we call Yellow Thing, Camel, Satan, or just plain bitch.
Liz Stevenson is particularly proud of her cheese production. She hopes the abundance of milk from their 2 cows will make their farm the most prosperous.
There are easier ways of making money because the amount of work that goes into cheese making takes quite a few hours every day. But we do like eating cheese as well, and I'm a bit hooked. This has been in a cheese press just overnight because it's our first one that we've done, and it tastes just like Lancashire cheese. Do you want some name? Just needs more salt in. Do you think?
I don't like cheese.
After 9 weeks in the valley, it's time for some of our convicts to have a change in fortune. Historically, convicts could be traded or set free. It's been a big challenge to live the life of a convict. Of the 9 convicts that started, 3 have run away. Convict Paul Ward, known as Barney, is given his freedom in recognition of his hard work and loyalty. He'll be given land of his own, and convict Kevin is to move from the Hurleys to work for him. Troublesome convict Steve Keogh is to be reassigned from the English family to the Australian family.
Well, I was very surprised, yeah. It's quite uplifting, yeah. Knowing that, yeah, sort of can, I don't know, have my own, yeah, take it easy.
Excellent stuff, yeah. And we'll be keeping busy, I guess.
Yeah.
So what's the first thing you're going to do, Barn?
Oh, I'm going to check my convict out, bloke. Check his teeth out. You reckon he's a good one?
I'm not sure, mate.
I'm very pleased, actually. A lot of things have come to a head recently. From a convict's point of view, somebody disgruntled. It leaves us in a bit of a country because now we don't have a male convict and we have a lot of work to do in the next week or so, but I think we're capable of doing it.
After experiencing life as pioneers, the English family seem to have overcome their nation's world-famous fear of creepy crawlies.
He's beautiful. Carpet python. Andy said it's a carpet python.
Does he bite?
And their convict Andy is glad to see the back of Steve Keogh.
I'm pretty happy about Keogh getting re-signed, because having a few problems with him lately. He was a bit scary with some of the stuff he went on about. It was a bit gruesome, so I guess it's got a bit more safer feeling around the camp. It's a bit happier.
Knowing that each farm will be formally assessed in the annual muster brings out the resourcefulness in each family.
Tell me that is not a rhinoceros. In real life, that has got to be worth a hell of a lot of money for a complete natural sculpture.
The Stevensons see their future in garden sculptures and cheese production.
It's a rhinoceros.
Where's it?
They're hoping the proceeds will get them some new clothes.
Right, I've been doing some sums for our family. What I've done, we've ordered the clothes that we need to have for the muster. We can get anything up to 14 shillings a week for our cheese production.
Depending on the price in Sydney.
We could even make games or do some carving or something like that.
I'm making a chest set.
What you make?
Karina's making a
That's
chest
a brilliant
set.
idea.
Me?
They'll take some doing. They should be worth quite a lot.
If the price is right, Karina's hand-carved chest set and Liz's cheese could see the family in new finery by muster time. Meanwhile, down the valley, the cash-strapped Hurleys are contemplating trading their precious goats and pigs.
Other than selling the pig, maybe selling a goat, we haven't much money. Only getting £2 for a goat, so I mean that should be enough.
Well, I think a better alternative, rather than selling off all our stock, would be to come up with some good artwork and look for a good trading price for that.
Need to get some more sticks, Link.
But Tracy is less than enthusiastic about becoming muster.
The first thing that cropped through my mind when it came to be productive and everything, to get to the banquet, my initial thing was, well, stuff a bloody banquet, you know, like, it's just added like a bit of a strain, I think.
Having moved in with the honkies, convict Keogh seems to have changed his attitude. Tracy also doesn't mind his rough edges.
We get on really well with Keogh. He's pretty out there sort of a fella. I mean, we knew right from the start about the Kalgoorlie boys, so, you know, we're sort of aware of that, but he's got a really gentle underside, and that's pretty much what we see. He's a hard worker and he's really willing to help out in any way he can. And we just treat him as we would treat anybody else, and we've got to get the same thing back.
You know the best way to do a handstand?
Yeah?
Just stand on his hands.
Oh, look at it.
Okay.
I think some people are relieved he's gone from our camp because of the constant issues, what he brings with him to whichever camp he goes to. And if the honkies like him and he likes the honkies, then let the honkies experience what Keogh is like after a few weeks, because it's a good first impression, but you just can't trust him.
It's now been 10 weeks of sweat and tears, but the colonists have earned credit from their produce and crops. They've all ordered new clothes for the muster. Things are looking up.
Brilliant. This is going to be really good now.
Oh, chips.
It's going to be trouble. Smoked cod and chips. Okay.
Where's Dad?
Morris?
What could it be? That's mine.
yours.
Andrew.
Mine's the heaviest.
It's like Christmas, isn't it? Oh. They're not even cut at all. It's just material.
Oh my God.
Can we
Look
hold
at
the
this.
pins when you take them out?
Go make your dress, this sounds like. Mother of God, this looks like a major operation.
Nice. What's this, our flogger for the roundup?
Here, pull it up.
Fancy dress, mate.
What green, what?
That's going up really
Bloody hell. What's this for?
How are you at Samhain?
That was the worst present I've ever unwrapped.
Don't even open the rest of it, okay? Because there's no point. So it's going back. So whoever wants can have it, make it. I ain't doing it. No. Happy birthday. What about? Have fun.
Liz and Trish deal with the disappointment of unmade clothing by heading for the river. They form a friendship which has been cemented and naked sunbathing.
Me and Trish were naked sunbathing and Karina came walking by and came across us. And when she was telling Declan and Susan the tale, they were all really horrified. I don't know how Trish and I are going to take that. I don't know if it's that we've got such fantastic bodies for our age or really repulsive, saggy type of bodies.
Part of the valley's common ground has been allocated to the newly pardoned Paul Ward for his farm.
Thanks, mate. How's the haulage going, all right?
Pretty good, mate. How's your end going?
Not too bad.
As a stonemason, he plans to build his new house from the local sandstone.
I am very enthusiastic about getting the house built, having my own place, cook my own food and do my own thing. Kevin's a good hard worker and he's fastidious in what he does. He's straight into it, you know, very, very clean. It's almost like Felix, what is it? Oscar and Felix, you know. Oh, me and of course Oscar.
Trish grapples with the cut cloth that would see her in a new dress.
When my dress arrived, I was absolutely appalled. It came out of the bag in 25 separate pieces. My initial reaction was to just give up on it, forget about it, not do it. But then Liz said, come on, we'll have a go. So I did it. I've never sewn before. In fact, if a button fell out or anything at home, I'd hand it to Morris to sew it. I don't sew at all. So I'm quite enjoying it though. But I'm really bad at it. But Liz gave me a lot of help.
The extremes of Australian weather dictate the fortunes of our Hawkesbury settlers. Massive storms break over the valley, but the work of looking after the animals must go on. The rain turns to mud, and the Hurley family feel the brunt of it.
Last week we were in scorching temperatures. Within a few days of that, we've had 3-4 days of sometimes torrential rain, flooding, cold, windy. We've nothing dry left. It's just been one thing after another.
Your feet are...
Yeah. You never get bored around here, put it that way. You know, you wake up and, hey, your fire's an island.
When the waters recede, a communal dinner at the Hurleys becomes a chance for the women to discuss catering for muster day.
So I reckon we only really need to add extra onions and carrots to each of our lists. Yeah.
Because of the tensions between the Honkies and the other families, this is one of the few times that Tracy has ventured over to the Hurley camp, even though it's only 400 metres away.
Just leave it at that. Yeah. Leave it at that. Probably a bit disappointed in the fact that we didn't bond as well with the other ladies as much. It's sort of still a little bit shallow. I think it's just something that either naturally happens or it doesn't. I'm not too fussed. I have company with Barney and Keo. I get on well with them and that as well. So, you know, that's fine for me. Mm.
Well, we've never ever fell out with the honkies at any time, and don't intend to. You know, it's just I think sometimes that
you can feel
they've got a very, very deep resentment against. If you're not Australian, they're quite almost prejudiced. I would find. I've really felt that a lot. If Keo wasn't there, it might be more different. You know, it was Keo, the one that keeps mentioning the Aussies stick together and against the English and Irish, and you know, it's almost a competition.
I have cultural assimilations with the honkies. I have no cultural assimilation with the English or the Irish. Now I'm at the Australian family. It'll basically be Aussie boys having fun together.
Move on. We're all on the right side?
Yeah.
That's the left side, I think.
Yeah, that's right.
Keo's ancestors came from Tipperary in Ireland 150 years ago. Tracy came from Scotland as a child. But somehow the experience of living in Australia makes them feel different. In the early 1800s, increasing numbers of convicts gained freedom and raised their own families. They looked after their own and were openly hostile to their supposed betters, the free settlers from England and Ireland.
You can see where the Aussie spirits come from. It's like, you know, up yours. Whereas with the Australians, we're sort of like, we'll stick it to them whenever we can.
Be good if we can score some more cover and cover that veranda in properly, eh?
I've offered to do a day's work for the governor to be paid in bark. I reckon if he doesn't come to our towns in a couple of days, we'll just have to go and steal it.
While the honkies and their convict keep to themselves, over at the Stevensons, the two Australian convicts are enjoying life with their English masters.
We all love melon here, and it's very prized possession. And when it gets cut, it can never be cut perfectly even. So to decide who gets the biggest and who gets the smallest piece, we all pick out cards, and the order of the card decides the order of picking.
Oh, what a shame.
Now the person who picks the lowest card, they are made the person who has to cut the pieces. But then you'd just be doing
Shelley,
a favour
you
for
need
John.
to measure it perfect.
You can't, it's hard.
Shelley, you're making us angry.
Oh, extra difficulties there.
Ooh.
Okay, everyone back off.
Them two are the white
in.
Give him some space.
I'm taking that one. I'm done. I'm gone.
There were two definite small ones. It's no good, Shelley, never again.
You should sharpen the knife.
Yeah, the last one was better.
You're in just trying it down?
Without warning or ceremony, the Aboriginal clan returns to the valley. They've been gone for 6 weeks.
Hey, you didn't come back empty-handed.
No way, mate.
There you go, mate.
Good, mate.
There we go.
Good to see you back.
Oh, here comes some troublemakers.
The return of old friends lifts the mood of the Australian camp, where Ant O'Donovan and his clan have been sorely missed.
Yeah, you must have covered a few miles, ain't it?
Hoping you come back.
Historically, Aboriginal people moved their camp regularly, following the seasonal food cycles.
You must have been away for weeks. Bloody redcoats came in.
Yeah.
Oh, what happened?
Oh, I did the wrong bloody thing. I spent the night in the lockup.
Oh, right.
Glad to see you back.
Good to see you.
Good to be back.
Your beard's gone a bit longer.
Yeah,
huh? Getting ready for Christmas.
Yeah.
Lovely.
So it's good to be back, Anto.
Ah, I missed it.
Did you? What did you miss?
Everything about this place.
Anto's clan begin to look for a new site for the Koori camp. For thousands of years before white settlers arrived here, this valley was used for ceremonies and hunting by local Aboriginal people. Anto Donovan, his daughter Amber, and partner Lorna, along with Luana and Jarlo Walker, want to see if they can live as their ancestors did.
I like this spot. It's close up with the water for us, and it's a secluded area. I'm going to set my camp up in there, in the cave. The kids are going to have this gunya, so we'll finish that off first, and then start on mine.
Caves are mad.
Anto and Lorna discover a waterfall behind their new camp. With the recent rain, the creeks are flowing in the valley for the first time in years.
I like it. Water all good. Especially that waterfall, eh? No, I guess it's a good spot here.
The women of the colony have to hand sew dozens of garments in time for the muster.
I've got to try and get Tyler and Andrew in the trousers so I can see where the buttons need to go. And I've made Tyler's longer because he's grown about 3 inches since he's been here.
Like if it came from the shoulder? That way I could sew that on with it already gathered.
Tracy Honky has to stitch for her 4 children, her convict, her husband, and herself.
I've been sewing for like, I don't know, 2 weeks, every night. And I put the ribbon on my bonnet this morning, so that's complete. It'll be good when the muster's just here and everything is just on keel go.
Over at the Hurleys, they've devised a board game called Colopoly to inject some fun into the long hours after sunset.
Everybody. Hey, Chico. You have too much squirming there.
3, 4. Okay, I'll have it. No!
Can I stop now?
Yeah, you can stop. Yeah, you can stop. Yeah, you can.
The 4 kids sleep in narrow bunks, but seem to have adapted to the cramped conditions.
Yeah, go easy with the sand. Yeah. And with the feet.
What else, sister?
Let me see.
I got a good one.
Night, goats.
Night, night.
Welcome everybody to the Colony Games 1806. Thereafter referred to as the Olympics. 3 cheers for the Olympics. Hip hip. Hip hip. Hip hip.
The next morning, the Hurleys have come up with another game, this time for the whole colony.
The Olympics 1806 have begun.
Underway.
Oh, shite! No further than yours.
With preparations for the muster now well in hand, our colonists can finally have
This the right way?
Any way at all?
Okay.
entertainment in the early 1800s was no more sophisticated than these primitive athletics.
Oh, yeah.
Eyewitness accounts describe competitive sports as little more than barely controlled riots. Over at the Koori camp, Anto's clan move across the creek to escape the energy that Anto feels has been disturbing him. He's been complaining of being unwell.
Yesterday when we woke up, I couldn't even walk. When I looked at him, he had the funny colour eyes, he had a light. They was like they was going blind.
All my energy was out of me. I looked real sullen in the face, like if my face was drawn, the eyes were drawn back into my head.
And then he sat down on this side of the river, the creek, and he got all the energy back.
And I think I might have disturbed the birthing ground. And I think that's the reason why I got sick.
This area, with its caves, waterfalls and swimming holes, is the sort of place where Aboriginal women would have come to give birth. Such areas were nominated as women's ground.
It is an ideal spot for birthing ground, especially with that waterfall there. Their birthing ground was always in secluded places where the men can't find them. I feel real great on this side. Nothing happened to me yet. I just want to go back across that creek.
With 1 week to go before muster, Paul Ward is calling favours from his former master, Kerry, to get his house built in time.
Oh, very pleased. All the boys gave me a hand, which is great. I reckon we'll probably lock her up in a week. Might have a nice little house. And then I'm going to start building the chimney.
Banquet planned after the official muster, and the Hurley girls want to look their best.
Put them in rags to make it curly for tomorrow so that we can look pretty and get a husband. Doing it like they did.
It looks better.
Yeah, but
In the early 1800s, with men outnumbering women 6 to 1, Rachel and Susan would have had no problems landing a fella.
No, that's good. That's good.
But getting them to marry would have been another thing.
No, you're not allowed to.
2/3 of the colony's women were living in sin.
Well, it's a few things to do now. It's good. It's a bit of excitement. And we'll still look beautiful at the end of it. And of course, I'm looking for 3 able-bodied men now tomorrow to take these 3 girls off my hands.
Has everyone had a shower, Liz?
At last, the day of the muster has dawned, and the Stevensons are ready.
We've been doing an awful lot of sewing to get ready for the muster, and we've been making some clothes. One thing we decided as a team to do was to embroider our team logo, our company logo of the funnel web spider. So we've got one, I've got one on my shirt sleeve. I've decided not to wear one of those corsets because it's going to be just too hot, so I've done a homemade bra. As you know, an apron is a woman's best friend. So, once I've got my hair brushed, we'll be set.
I'm a bit about the hat that they give me, Kerry. I'm not sure this is really my style, mate.
No, they put pink instead of maroon on the band, mate.
Lincoln, have you brushed your hair, Link?
The honky kids are scrubbed for the first time in weeks, and they climb into their newly hand-sewn clothes.
You look very handsome, Lincoln.
Under the instructions of Governor Bligh, the magistrate and his inspection party have arrived. Stand by your dwellings, prepare to receive the party.
In 1806, William Bligh, infamous from the mutiny on the Bounty, became Governor of New South Wales. In isolated regions like the Hawkesbury, the local magistrate would carry out official inspections on behalf of the governor. The annual muster was easily the most important event on the early settlers' calendar. Of course, it wasn't an important event for everyone.
Spin out of those red cards.
I reckon. When we seen the red coats driving past and the horses, it made us feel like it was back in the 1800s, and made us feel like that we just wasn't allowed to go to the muster because the red coats was there.
Although the Aboriginal people at the time were considered as British subjects, in practice they didn't enjoy the same rights. They were not counted in musters in the early colony. It would be over 160 years before official census figures included them.
Allah!
The inhabitants of this dwelling are recorded as the Hurley family, Your Honour. Former United Irishmen, Mr and Mrs Hurley, Mr and Mrs Radvan, the magistrate for the Hawkesbury.
Mr Hurley.
Burn.
Well, if you'd like to show us around your establishment, Mr Hurley.
Our humble abode here.
Done remarkably well with the space you have available to you, Mrs Hurley.
I thought, God, this is really serious and formal. And then I started to get really nervous. Felt like really... Oh, yeah. My daughters, my beautiful daughters, are hoping to land themselves some suitable
Yes, they
gentlemen.
look of marriageable age.
They do, yeah,
Yes,
they are.
yes,
They
well.
are. And they are very skilled, both in the kitchen and, as you can see...
I'm glad to see it. Well, we need more children in the colony. That's what we need to expand.
The governor, William Bligh, supported the settlers and opposed the corrupt trading monopolies of the Redcoats. As a result, he was a local hero in the Hawkesbury.
We wanted to let Governor Bligh know by letter exactly how we've been doing here and our progress.
Ah, you can write.
And
yes.
so I've just put a few verses together. It's called the Muster Song, or as I like to call it, Dear Willie. Oh, Willie, this colony's a wonderful sight, with settlers here working by day and by night.
You must meet Eliza, our pig so stout. Well, she's over there with 5 piglets about. She's doing fine, and I'm sure you'll agree she's the best looking pig in the whole colony.
And so to conclude now, it's been a long year, but of Sydney's supplies let you have no fear. We're here for the food for you all, and sure we'll know that we're having a ball.
Under the instruction of Governor Bligh, the magistrate and his party of inspection are arriving, and call all inhabitants to muster.
By decree of His Excellency Governor Bligh, all inhabitants of this place, livestock and improvements are to be reported and described. Mr Radvan, magistrate, Mr Honky.
Mr Honky.
Kerry Honky, pleased to meet you.
Very fine habitation you have here, Mr Honky.
Oh, thank you.
A sign of dedication and hard work, sir.
I would like to point out my nice wife's made charcoal drawing.
An artist in the family as well.
Yes.
Very nice.
If you wanted to get ahead in the early colony, it was crucial to win the approval of senior government officials.
It's a very fine species of cucumber there, young man.
It's
Very
actually,
fine indeed.
it's a zucchini, isn't it? Or a marrow, actually.
Yes, they're growing very well.
You've got the red crops up, they're not going to take me away.
This is Mr and Mrs Radvan, the magistrate for the Hawkesbury.
Mr Stevenson.
Nice to meet you, everyone. Would you like to come in?
Please.
It's quite small, but it's very cosy.
It is cosy. It's lovely.
We've put the hashing up for to stop mosquitoes and funnel webs and things like that getting to us. We had 2 goats that we traded for a cow. We decided to do that so we're getting quite a regular supply of cheese that we've managed to trade in order to start building up an income.
Sounds like you'll soon be able to pay taxes, Mr.
Yes.
Stevens. It'd be a fine thing. The colony's government is in sore need of funds.
Thank you, Corporal. Just been knocking up a bit of stone. We're building a house and just all in one. Would you care to show me? Yeah.
A fully emancipated convict, no matter how recently pardoned, officially enjoyed the same rights of citizenship as free settlers.
The house is coming along very well. Very well indeed, yes. Very sound, very sound. You ought to be congratulated.
Thank you.
Huh? This muster and inspection is now complete. In honour of this occasion, we will fire a volley.
Present! Fire!
And now, ladies and gentlemen, I think it will be appropriate to have 3 cheers for His Majesty King George.
Hip hip! Huzzah! Hip hip! Huzzah! Hip hip! Huzzah!
I think we'll declare this fiesta open.
Cheers for that!
Musters were the social event of the year. Neighbours in isolated areas came together to exchange news and gossip, build community, to look for husbands and wives. Our 3 families and their convicts had wanted the Aboriginal clan to come to the banquet. But in the interests of historical accuracy, they didn't attend.
I think we're not going to the muster because we're black.
Aboriginal people wouldn't have been associated in doings like this, anyway, like musters and that. Aboriginal people wasn't put in that class as the white settlers. They're pretty upset about it.
Jarlo and the other Aboriginal kids aren't the only ones who are upset. 2 days previously, Convict threatened Trish Hurley and has now withdrawn.
In recent weeks, he wasn't satisfied to just cause trouble among the adults, but he wanted to cause trouble among children. You know, setting one child against another or a group of children against, it's just, you know, it's just, I can't condone that sort of behaviour at all.
I'm still here, and I'm not going. So don't try and get rid of me unless you're armed.
In the past, convicts couldn't be dealt with by their masters. A magistrate would refer them to the redcoats for punishment. It's party time, and a colony pig is feeding matters.
Can I have a taste of crackling?
Little bit, little bit.
And the cakes and pies by the settlewomen are going down a treat, as is the fresh fruit.
Thing for me were the kids. They were just running round and picking all the fruits off everywhere and scoffing all the stuff and the puddings.
Rub-a-dub-dub, thanks for the grub.
Thank you.
There's been a dearth of a social life here. We just haven't had any. So, you know, if somebody says, come on, let's have a drink and a dance and a bit of music, I mean, that's just, we love that.
Coming up on the colony, convict Keogh pays for his sins.
Pretty ashamed of myself.
A crisis in the Hurley family. Anto leads an expedition to tackle the Blue Mountains. And tears at the prospect of leaving their homes in the valley.